I want to welcome to the stage Adrienne Batra and your premier, my dad, Doug Ford.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adrienne Batra. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Toronto Sun. Welcome to the PC Party Convention of 2018. It's been a long time since this party has had an opportunity to not only fill the Congress Centre, but to have a premier who truly represents and reflects what I believe are to be true blue conservative values in this country. Many of you know that I have a little bit of a history with the Ford family, having served as Mayor Rob Ford's Director of Communications and Press Secretary, God rest his soul. I have had a unique perspective and relationship with the Ford family for many years. So it's my honor, Premier Ford, to be here with you tonight. I want to ask you, what is it that has been the best thing, the worst thing, and the most surprising thing about being Premier of Ontario? And be honest, Doug. The media is watching.
I'm always honest. I just tell it the way
it
it
is.
is.
No fake news here tonight.
You know, we sat back and we saw our province getting destroyed, like all of us. That's why everyone's engaged. They were frustrated. 15 years of scandals and political corruption. We found out during the election they were cooking the books, and we're $15 billion deficit now, and we have the largest subnational debt in the world. We can't pass that on to your little guy, right? Your little guy, and the next generation. So we need to make changes. We need to be a strong province. You keep hearing, you know, the old saying, we were the engine of Canada. We will be the engine of Canada once again. We really will. Yeah.
What surprised you the most of where you are now?
Well, the deficit was the biggest surprise. You know, you have plans to do a lot of great things when you think it's a few $billion, but then when you find out it's a $15 billion structural deficit, that's the key word, structural deficit. So if we had an asset, and we aren't going to do this, I'm just using this as an example, if we had an asset worth $15 billion, people don't understand, even if we sold that asset next year, our deficit would be $15 billion. So that's going to be a challenge, but we're still going to be able to do great things. It's very simple. You can't take care of the most needy people in society when your province is bankrupt. But even saying that, we did do that. We just ended up giving 1.1 million people the largest tax break ever in the province. They'll be paying zero tax. So, but there's, you know,
What do you say to your
so many
critics,
things
though?
that were promised.
What would you say to your critics, who many of them, some of them are observers here tonight, some of them may be back in the media gallery, that will say that you're giving tax breaks to the richest while forgetting about those that are most vulnerable? What would you say to them?
They're dishonest. It's not true. We're giving, you know, as I mentioned, we're giving tax breaks to 1.1 million people, the most vulnerable people in society. We're reducing the gas prices by 5 cents a liter. That affects every single person. When I crisscrossed Ontario, the #1 issue were hydro bills and gas bills. On the gas bills, if you notice on your gas bill, it says right on there that you know, their gas bill's going down is $250 a year because of the cap and trade, which was just a terrible tax. So you have to stimulate the economy by putting money back into people's pocket, not the government's pocket, the people's pocket, and they'll accelerate the economy.
Not only did you talk about tax cuts for some of the most vulnerable and or lowest income earners in Ontario, but there is other things that you also decided to do. You talked about rent controls. You talked about cutting red tape. One of the things that there is a mantra with your government now is making it more efficient, you in fact stood and unveiled a sign that said, Ontario is now open for business. That sends a signal, and that's important. There is a question I would like to know. Can you articulate for us, in the course of the last very few 141 days, how your government has been able to already achieve some of those savings, and how you're going to tackle that red tape?
Well, first of all, there's 385,000 regulations, and that's staggering. It makes it very difficult for businesses to thrive when they just have people on their staff dealing with government bureaucracy and red tape and regulations. We met with the CEO of a bank, I won't mention the bank, just last week, and he was saying regulations cost businesses billions and billions of dollars. That's why the economy is booming right now in the US, because they ended up getting rid of so many regulations. So we put committees together to go after, I call them the SWAT team, to go after areas that have endless regulations, because there's so much duplication with the federal government. So we're going to get rid of the red tape and the regulations. We've lowered the corporate tax rate from 11.5% down to 10.5%. We're got rid of the CEO and the board from Hydro One. We're going to start lowering the hydro rates, which is good. And
$6 million mine.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
For people that are in business, I'll give you an example, a gold mine that I visited up north. It took them, this is really unbelievable, it took them 7 years to get through all the red tape and permits. We're going to knock that down to a year. We're going to have a business-friendly province instead of an anti-business. And, you know, I'll give you one quick story. We were in Brockville, and I went to see a company that had about 300 employees. They made wire. And he said, Doug, I'm on the other side of the river. What stops me from going to New York State? Lower taxes, they're giving me these incentives, tax-free zones. And he said, well, guess what? I did go there. I met with the Chamber of Commerce for New York, and the Department of Labor, our equivalent of the Ministry of Labor. Department of Labor came in and they said, how can we help you? We'll hire people. We'll do whatever it takes. And then he goes, I come back to Ontario, and the Ministry of Labor is in my plant saying, I'm going to fine you for this, I'm going to fine you for that, I'm going to fine you for that. So it's a culture change. We have to change the culture to make sure that when people have a decision to open here, Ohio, they're coming here.
Can we get a little political for a moment?
Yes.
It's okay. I
and
mean, we are here to entertain the folks.
That nasty bill
The
148
folks are here,
makes it.
Doug. We got to entertain the folks.
Yes,
as you like
the
to say.
folks.
I put you on the spot. You've answered some tough questions, tough-ish questions. Is there anything you want to ask me?
Oh boy, that's a good one. We're going to reverse the roles. This is going to be good. Wow. Do you think the media is biased?
I can't plead the fifth in Canada. It's not a thing. I will say this, Mr. Premier. I think every media outlet in this country has a bias, and if they tell you that otherwise, that's fake news.